15 to the top. Try not to fuck it up. Caleb. Invite. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we're in.
It's called a silent killer, a colorless, odorless gas that can be deadly. Our top story tonight, the story of the Dakota Territory mom who almost lost her daughter to carbon monoxide poisoning. Your news starts tonight.
Now, in high definition, this is Dakota Territory News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Alicia Garcia.
And I'm Eric Gardner.
Why
This
does
is
that
Dakota
not
Territory
advance?
News at 10. Imagine beginning your day like any other, stopping by the local gas station for a soda and looking in the back seat to find your child unresponsive, poisoned by carbon monoxide.
New at 10, our Alexa blog
How
has
could
this
you be?
mother's story and a warning about the dangers with vehicles and this gas.
Levita Ramirez and her children are coloring pretty pictures today, but it wasn't so pretty last week.
It was scary.
The mother of 3 found her oldest daughter unconscious in the back seat of her new but used vehicle.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, what happened here? I was freaking out.
Ramirez was with her daughter, 9-year-old Leticia, inside this Jeep at a Rapid City gas station.
We got to the store to buy a soda. I told her, let's get off the car. She wasn't responding.
Bystanders called paramedics, and Leticia was rushed to the hospital.
They diagnosed her with carbon monoxide poisoning.
She was treated with oxygen and is doing fine. Leticia was fortunate.
Carbon monoxide poisoning, it's extremely dangerous. It's called the silent killer.
Kayla Menegas of the Rapid City Fire Department says this gas can easily go undetected, which is why it is vital to get regular vehicle maintenance.
Obviously, cars produce a large amount of carbon monoxide. The danger arises when cars aren't exhausting properly or they haven't been properly maintained and serviced.
It is a lesson Ramirez learned the hard way. She has since learned that the Jeep she purchased just 3 days earlier from a tow company had a large hole in the exhaust, an $800 purchase that could have cost her daughter's life.
There's parents out there that really need cars. And knowing that that I had kids, they could at least, take a second thought and didn't sell me the car.
Alexa Block, Dakota Territory News.
The tow company contract that Ramirez signed states the buyer understands that the car comes as is, no warranties. They typically encourage buyers to visit the mechanic.
So how do you know if you're being poisoned by carbon monoxide? Well, signs of carbon monoxide poisoning include drowsiness, flu-like symptoms, nausea, and headache. If you think you have been exposed to carbon monoxide gas, seek medical treatment immediately. Call the fire department. Do not ventilate the area so responders can test those carbon monoxide levels.
The blizzard happened 3 months ago.
Dakota
Territory City is still dealing with the cleanup.
And we'll have that story after Chief Meteorologist Mike Modrick brings us his forecast for just light snow tonight.
It is indeed. I'm just going right out of my mouth. Still, just a little in southeastern Montana. Not much around the big ones at the moment. But we've had a number of rounds that have come on through the Black Hills, and it has been fairly light, but enough to create slippery spots in parts of the Black Hills, including Rapid City, including on Interstate 90. Much of it has been falling right along parts of Interstate 90. Now this will taper off toward the morning hours, and again, the accumulations are not much of a factor of this, just enough to make the slippery areas. We're in the teens to start out, might be a few flurries lingering on. Only 25 in Rapid City, but it will be warmer in the hills, a little cooler on the plains, but we all get a chance to warm up Thursday. We'll get to that in the weekend, Alicia, coming up.
While cleanup in Rapid City from that October blizzard is complete, crews are still working in Sturgis. They're clearing debris and cutting hanging branches over public right-of-ways. Sturgis was hit hard by the storm. Many of the older trees were damaged. Sturgis is using many of its own workers, and they've hired very little contract labor since the original storm cleanup. The weather has sometimes prevented crews from finishing the work.
The cold snap we just had, the guys, it's hard for the guys to be out and work in 30 below wind chills. So with the nicer weather, things will move along faster.
And Smith said if the weather cooperates, they should be done with cleanup in a month.
Well, the check is in the mail. Pennington County is just a few weeks from receiving reimbursement for costs related to that October blizzard. The county is looking at a bill that ranges between $300,000 and $500,000. Emergency Management Director Dustin Willett. He told commissioners this morning that there are 2 sub-grants available to the county related to debris removal and emergency protection. Commissioners voted to accept all of the money that the county qualifies for concerning debris removal. Now, for the first 30 days of the cleanup, Willett says FEMA will pay for 85% of that cost. For the 31 to 90-day period, FEMA pays 80% of the cost. With anything after 90 days, they will pay 75%.
Sound there.
What the board did today was voted to basically accept that sub-grant application as it was prepared by the FEMA project specialist.
Now, the second sub-grant for emergency protection will be discussed in a future meeting.
In other news, lawmakers in some states, including South Dakota, want to extend the school year, but Wyoming is bucked that trend. Republican Senator Bill Nelson from Casper is sponsoring a bill that would shorten the school year from K-12 students. The bill calls for all in-service training days for teachers be moved to the summer or other non-school days. Sheridan County School District 1 officials think this would have only a minimal impact, especially on districts like theirs with a 4-day school week.
Sound there.
On Friday. So as far as shortening the school year from the time school starts till it ends, we really don't see that happening. For a traditional 5-day school week, might be 1 week less of school.
The Wyoming legislative session starts February 10th.
In headlines across South Dakota, an Eagle Butte man is scheduled to stand trial April 8th on federal charges stemming from a fatal shootout and standoff in late October. Jason Todd Garreau was charged with 19 federal counts related to the shootout in Hyde County in a standoff with law enforcement at a Pier Trader court. 24-year-old John Garreau was killed. A Rapid City man receives a 5-year sentence for possession of a firearm in furtherance of a drug trafficking crime. 28-year-old J. Paul Gallego was sentenced by Chief Judge Jeff Viken in December in 2012. Gallego possessed with intent to distribute 1 gram of methamphetamine, which was found during the search of his house. Law enforcement agents also found baggies, paraphernalia, and 2 firearms.
Coming up, Old Man Winter continues his tight grip on much of the country with a record cold reported from the Canadian border to the Gulf Coast.
And the crash of a $300 million Air Force plane may not have been preventable. These stories and more when we cover the world.
3, 2, 1. Need you to. And Mike.
While Dakota Territory was a bit warmer today, the record-breaking polar air that has made the Midwest shiver over the past few days is now gripping the east and south as well. Temperatures
goddamn cold.
Single digits in teens from Boston to Atlanta and Birmingham.
I seen that.
Boom! Centers across the eastern half of the U.S. were closed so that youngsters wouldn't be exposed to the dangerous cold. Officials have opened shelters for the homeless and anyone else needing a warm place.
Well, an angry outburst from Dennis Rodman today as he defended his controversial decision to play an exhibition game in North Korea. Rodman has said this trip with former All-Stars doesn't involve politics, but it's hard to avoid with the U.S. at odds with North Korea's nuclear weapons program, human rights record, and the detention of American Kenneth Bay. Some of the basketball athletes have been playing goodwill exhibition games overseas for years, but reputation experts say Rodman's outburst cast mud on everyone involved.
Calling the meeting very disappointing for veterans and the community of Hot Springs, Senators John Thune and Tim Johnson, along with Representative Christine Nome, met with Veterans Affairs Secretary Eric Shinseki today about the future of the Black Hills healthcare system. Secretary Shinseki announced the VA would move forward with an environmental impact statement on closing the Hot Springs facility. Thune said today's announcement ignored the pleas of veterans and financial analysts of the Save the VA committee. There will be an opportunity for public input during the environmental impact study.
We may never know why a part failed mid-flight, causing a B-1 bomber to crash in Montana last August, but we do know that maintenance crews didn't see anything wrong with the jet before flight. Colonel Brooks McFarland of Ellsworth Air Force Base says there were 1,400 maintenance crew members who inspected the jet before and after each flight. Although pre-flight inspections take 6 hours, Colonel McFarland says the majority of the inspections happen in layers throughout the plane's career that are on scheduling basis rather than when something needs to get fixed.
We're not waiting for the last minute to have anything done. If something fails, if it fails in flight or if it fails during a ground check, then it's a remove and replace type of repair.
Now, the B1 that did crash in Montana was almost due for a 60-month depot maintenance check, but crew members say they most likely would not have found anything wrong with the baffle fold late for that crash at that time.
Later, he's given hundreds of millions of dollars to healthcare in the region. And today, a Sioux Falls philanthropist gives another big gift.
We'll have that story later, but first, Chief Meteorologist Mike Hunter says that warmth is coming back by Saturday. His accurate forecast is
Downfall.
Later in the Family Healthcast.
Trying to eat healthy can start at the grocery store. I'm going to tell you about a new way to help us all make healthier choices.
And roll it. Oops. On time.